The girl wouldn't sleep at night and would run to urinate on other people's beds. As a result, she was beaten with a slipper and forced to take a bath all night. It turns out the man was mentally ill, suffering for the past 1 or 2 years without improvement. Due to his unusual desires, a strand of Shinhan chose him as its vessel. Although it couldn't directly cure his mind, in mutual dependence, the Shinhan would intervene at critical moments. In an era where the supernatural was resurging, even turning on a light during dinner at night was terrifying. No one knew who might knock on your door at night, a lost and pitiful little girl, or a malevolent demon specifically targeting your fate. On their first night of acquaintance, Shinhan showcased extraordinary combat capabilities to help him. This immediately caught the attention of the authorities. The Demon Expulsion Bureau had already detected strange occurrences, but they never expected to find such a powerful wild cultivator here. While Chinhwa was still experiencing an episode in the hospital room, a melodious song interrupted their actions. Shinhan immediately sensed the approach of something unclean. However, the 2 patients innocently thought someone was practicing singing in the middle of the night. They climbed onto the window to investigate, thinking the new girl looked quite unique. They were annoyed by the disturbance caused by her singing at midnight. Only Shinhan knew that this was a ghost from the second realm, out tonight for hunting. Her target was the 2 ignorant individuals in the room. Seeing the female ghost preparing to attack, the vigilant deity immediately called out to Chinhwa to dodge. As expected, the securely locked door seemed like an illusion to the ghost girl. With a swift step, she pounced into the room, then landed steadily on his bed. The black water symbolizing drowned spirits continued to drip. However, Chinhwa was furious, not because of the supernatural entity but because tomorrow was his workday. Now he had to clean up a bed soaked in black water. Without hesitation, he grabbed the slipper under his foot and fiercely beat the ghost girl. Finally, he kicked her out of the room, not caring whether the girl was a newcomer or not. Once here, everyone had to understand the rules and not cause trouble for others. Whether this girl was resentful or not, Chinhwa didn't care. Tremblingly standing up, the black water droplets intensified. This resulted in another round of beating for the bewildered ghost girl. Completely enraged, she couldn't comprehend what was happening but felt the authoritative gaze to be harmful. The demon expulsion police in the surveillance room were also ready to act, but there was no need anymore. The vengeful spirit had been subdued with just a slipper. The head of the bureau, Yaoimanga, was moved to tears. He never expected to encounter a wild cultivator in his lifetime. Now, his chance for accomplishments was just around the corner. Early in the morning, the bureau chief came with a team to find this talented individual. Meanwhile, Chinhwa was still sound asleep in the hospital room. The head of the bed was adorned with drying clothes, the result of the hard work by the ghost girl throughout the night. Not only could he control supernatural entities, but he could also compel them. This added another layer of appreciation from the bureau chief. However, in the eyes of the hospital director, he remained a severely ill patient. Despite the admiration from the chief, he was still considered a heavy medical case. As revealed by Shinhan, 2 police officers were left confused and even suspected Chinhwa of having a split personality. Yet, before Zhang Yu could inquire further, Chinhwa pointed out something unusual in his chest. Shinhan had detected the irregularities in the girl's aura, indicating a probable long-term exposure to yin energy leading to breast cancer. Chinhwa, with his limited knowledge, only knew that the girl had 2 little balls in front and loudly demanded to see them. This led to the chief dragging him back and apologizing to the confused police officers. With everyone witnessing Chinhwa's deteriorating condition, the bureau chief felt deflated, watching his plans crumble. However, Yaoimanga was not ready to give up. He persistently sought out Chinhwa's unique qualities, but in this place where there were no ordinary people left. The only thing she seemed to assert was her claim of being an extraterrestrial being. This behavior was likely influenced by the alien movie played in the hospital the previous month. During lunch, Zhang Yu had already given up, but the chief still wanted to persist. After all, Chinhwa's abilities were genuine, and if they were to leave, he had to go with them. At the same time, Shinhan had also realized that this person was truly a lunatic. However, before treating the illness, it's crucial to ensure this person's survival. The failed huntress, Nwaba, will surely come again tonight. The Earth Store demon-expelling talisman is the most effective tool, but its sudden appearance startled Chinhwa. Furious, he twisted it into a ball and threw it away, coincidentally landing it in the chief's soup. Another reason they couldn't leave was their knowledge that Manhwa would return tonight. For the sake of protecting the citizens, they had to stay. As night fell, the red-clothed Manhwa indeed arrived as expected. However, there was an additional figure beside her, the 10th-ranked male demon. The situation worsened. This wasn't good. It's the male demon ranked in the top 10. The girl had just turned 18, and the bright light on her chest dimmed slightly. The man suspected a mutation, but before he could examine it closely, he was shocked to find out that the man was not a doctor but a mental patient from the Qinshan hospital. Due to his astonishing ability to control spirits, he attracted the attention of the Demon Expulsion Bureau. However, the unreached Manhwa wouldn't give up so easily. The next night she came back, but the preset sunlight array played its role. Witnessing Manhwa about to turn to ashes, unexpectedly, another helper appeared, the second-ranked male demon among the top 10. A nameless filth erupted from the ground, sweeping over the rooftops' searchlights. Numerous lights extinguished, and they, along with the male demon, ascended to the second floor. Seeing that the sunlight array couldn't stop them, Bureau Chief Shounenai was completely panicked. Initially hoping for Manhwa to achieve a small success, and then inviting him to join the Bureau, he now only prayed for his safety. Inside the hospital room, Manhwa feigned weakness, his eyes filled with determination, completely unlike someone who was ill. However, as the overwhelming ghostly aura breached the door, and two vengeful spirits stared straight at him, it became clear that everything was a charade. Manhwa tiptoed over, seemingly oblivious, and nonchalantly looked around the doorway. He completely disregarded the two spirits. Without waiting for the expected extraterrestrial companion, he immediately grabbed a slipper and began cursing at Manhwa. "Surely it's you ruining my good deeds again!" The sudden eruption of a strong, unpleasant aura startled Manhwa, who instinctively hid behind the male demon. However, Manhwa remained determined despite the male demon being a formidable opponent at the second stage. Countless black mists swarmed in, leaving no room for escape. Unfazed and unaware, Manhwa had no intention of fleeing. However, the spirit reminded Manhwa to stay calm. Not only did the arriving demon expulsion officers lack effective weaponry against the male demon, but their equipment was also being corroded by his black water. The officers, on the verge of defeat, looked to Manhwa for hope. Unfortunately, Manhwa's hope was shattered when his slippers, the only tool to beat people's, was accidentally destroyed during the fight. The loss of this vital slipper left Manhwa in despair. Nevertheless, he quickly regained his composure, converting all his grief and anger into strength because these two troublemakers were the cause of it all. Seeing that the host was ready to fight, the spirit generously infused Manhwa with power. A powerful punch landed, sending the male demon flying 10 meters away. Before he could catch his breath, another attack followed, a forceful elephant kick. The male demon was completely disoriented. Just as he was about to catch his breath, a symbol of the Earth's store demon-expelling talisman appeared in the radiant sunlight. The male demon pleaded for mercy, but it was too late. In the scorching golden light, he dissipated entirely. Witnessing this, Manhwa, who had observed everything, dared not approach Manhwa. She trembled and cowered in a corner, lacking the courage to make eye contact. In the control room, Chief Shounenai was shocked. He had underestimated Manhwa's strength. Now more determined, he decided to convince the hospital director to recruit Manhwa. The next morning, he approached the hospital director, insisting on taking Manhwa with him. However, the director hesitated, considering his responsibility to protect patients and the severity of the previous night's incident. Despite their fears, the reality was that they had no idea what real fear was. One by one, they were all cheering and celebrating for the upcoming move to the new ward. As for their uniformly shaped heads, it was the result of the male demon's black water corruption. The scene was indeed unexpected for the hospital director, but it couldn't be a reason for him to give up on the patients. Chief Shounenai understood that dealing with this guy wouldn't be an easy task. He began to plead his case, shedding tears and making a scene. The director was genuinely repulsed by his crying face and was about to relent when Officer Kaka barged in with urgent information. It turned out that trouble was brewing again in the southern part of the city. The likely scenario was that a family would meet their demise tonight because the detected aura belonged to that deadly young girl. She was the remorseful little girl with a horrifying aura, carrying the burden of 17 lives. However, when forming a contract, she chose a mentally ill person. Just as Chief Shoaigwa was persistently trying to take Chinhwa away, news from the hospital leader arrived as promised. This meant that Chinhwa's departure was imminent. However, when the chief genuinely started inviting him to join the team, he realized what the director meant by a tricky situation. This guy was just too difficult to control. Even with the sun almost setting, they couldn't apprehend him. It seemed impossible to communicate with him peacefully, so they decided to resort to force. With a command from Chief Shoaigwa, everyone rushed forward, and Chinhwa was forcefully brought to the area where the hospital was located. But expecting Chinhwa to cooperate in this state with the mission was unrealistic. Chief Shoaigwa had an idea. He decided to go along with him. If he was moving his hips, so be it. Chief Shoaigwa said with a determined expression, as if pledging allegiance to a party. This instantly stopped Chinhwa from yelling. After all, it was the first response he had received. Of course, he wasn't naive. Not just anyone saying a few words could earn his cooperation. They had to match one of his self-created passwords. However, Chief Shoaigwa knew that Chinhwa had many secret passwords, and no one knew the correct answers. In desperation, he decided to take a bold gamble. Aha! Brave special man, salute to you! Chief Shoaigwa nervously chuckled. Afraid of making any mistakes and triggering another commotion by Chinhwa, Chief Shoaigwa was relieved when the connection with Chinhwa was unexpectedly successful. It seemed that capturing ghosts was finally within reach. Faced with the assigned task from Chief Shoaigwa, Chinhwa promptly expressed firm obedience to the orders. Just at that moment, the detection equipment picked up intense fluctuations of energy outside in the corridor. Everyone else was eager to avoid it, but Chinhwa, with a big heart, not only gathered his courage but also lay on the floor, imitating the posture of the deceased. All the while, his spiritual soul continuously warned him of danger. The demon hunters, including Chief Zhou, were frozen in place, frightened by the impending danger. However, Chinhwa misunderstood, thinking the danger was the hospital director coming to take him back. Unyielding to this nasty habit, he decisively opened the door. To his surprise, there was no hospital director but a cute little girl. Unbeknownst to him, she was not an ordinary child but a vengeful ghost sacrificed by her parents, carrying the burden of 17 lives. Although pitiful, Chinhwa, still a bit crazy, didn't understand the voices in his head and believed it was the old man, the hospital director, playing tricks on him. After careful analysis, he concluded that since the voices and the lab coat were the enemies, and the voices mentioned the girl as an enemy, then the enemy's enemy must be an ally. Confidently, he took the girl's hand and walked towards the room, oblivious to the terror that the others were experiencing. He even planned to show her a treasure he found, a music box. The little girl looked disdainful, but Chinhwa was having a great time. He even suggested playing hide-and-seek, given that "move your hips" had invisibility powers. However, his real interest lay in the nails on the girl's body, claiming they were cursed. Curious, he wanted to remove the 5 nails she had. The girl insisted that they were curses, but Chinhwa, indignant, questioned which heartless hospital had performed such surgery on her. Determined to remove the nails for her, he seemed oblivious to the horrified reactions of the onlookers. The problem was that these nails penetrated deep into the soul. It wasn't as easy as Chinhwa thought. Despite Chinhwa putting in his utmost effort, there was no sign of movement. In the end, the spiritual soul had to yield to this mental patient and use the 5 elements wind soul extraction to remove the soul nails. With each soul nail extracted, the girl's inner resentment grew stronger until the final celestial soul position nail was pulled out. The girl's soul was completely unsealed, and she instantly transformed into a vengeful ghost, emitting a mournful wail. The intense disturbance almost engulfed the entire room, causing the energy monitoring instruments to explode, not to mention Chinhwa, who was thrown out of the window by the energy shockwave. As Chinhwa was about to plummet from dozens of meters above, a radiant light suddenly shot out and timely grabbed Chinhwa's hand. It was the recovered little girl, the death girl. When Chinhwa was rescued back into the room, everyone was astonished. The horrifying spirit actually saved a human. It was an unprecedented occurrence. However, their joy seemed premature. A bloodline suddenly cut through the darkness, aiming for Chenhua in front of Chief Zhou Aigua. Fortunately, she didn't intend to take Chenhua's life but merely cut her own finger. It turned out the death girl was moved by Chenhua's kindness and wanted to form a bond following an old lady's advice. She wished to stay with people without affecting her demeanor, and the only way was to form a trajectory through a contract. However, Chenhua seemed somewhat ungrateful. Despite appearing busy most of the time, he couldn't endure a little pain when his finger was cut. In the end, the girl took Chenhua's hand and used the gift she gave as a borrowed item to form the contract. The girl's forehead burst forth with numerous energies, replaced by a dazzling white light. After a quick transformation, she appeared as a charming neighbor girl, devoid of any vengeful ghost aura. The girl, just turned 18, successfully carried the burden of 17 lives. However, when facing the playful actions of a man, instead of killing him, she accidentally formed a blood bond due to the man's mental illness. It turned out he unknowingly released her seal during their interaction. Yet this guy seemed a bit unappreciative. Having formed such a powerful ghost bond, the boy seemed unaware of his achievement, and was making a fuss about the small wound on his finger. The spiritual soul had to tend to his injuries. The little girl then turned to look at the chaotic exorcism scene and Chief Zhou Aigua, who was nervously swallowing saliva. Surprisingly, the girl simply bent down, gave a slight bow, and a bracelet between her eyebrows shimmered twice. Soon after, it turned into black mist and entered her calm body. Everyone was startled, but fortunately, nothing abnormal happened afterward. Moreover, the death girl was not only successfully subdued but also seemed grateful to the team. Did this count as exceeding the mission's expectations? Of course, it did. With the rising sun outside the window, everyone's excitement was evident. Chief Zhou Aigua was especially grateful for finding the treasure in Chenhua. After the revival of ghost energy, ghosts could be roughly classified into 9 levels of strength. The Exorcism Bureau usually dealt with first-order ghosts, and a small number of second-order resentful spirits. Cases involving stronger ghosts usually had to be reported to the Spirit Control Department, a process that was not only lengthy and cumbersome but also dependent on certain individuals' preferences. Now, thanks to Chenhua, the Exorcism Bureau was finally having its moment. Chief Zhou Aigua, sitting comfortably in his office, proudly put his legs up and, facing the call from the Spirit Control Department, changed his usual low and submissive tone. After canceling the support request, he unceremoniously hung up the phone. The feeling of not having to beg for assistance was truly enjoyable. All these achievements were attributed to Chenhua. Regardless of whether his mental state was genuinely problematic, his strength was undeniably real. In his spacious office, Chief Zhou Aigua let Chenhua sleep until noon. Only when hunger woke him up did he notice a lunchbox on the coffee table, accompanied by a note with moving air patterns. The note explained that Chenhua was assigned a mission by the headquarters, praising his work. After canceling the support request, Chief Zhou Aigua unreservedly ended the call. Enjoying the feeling of not having to rely on others, Chenhua couldn't help but feel thrilled. Recognition from the headquarters was the highest honor for a warrior like him. Returning to reality, Chenhua didn't forget to savor the braised pork rice bowl provided by the moving airflow. He thought about the past events and felt a sense of accomplishment. The daytime atmosphere in the Exorcism Bureau was calm, with only a few duty officers present. After last night's interaction, Chenhua had completely let go of his guard against these uniformed individuals. Now, he was casually licking his lips and asking a female police officer for the cola on her desk. The female officer was startled by the unexpected patient and quickly signaled that he could take the cola. Chenhua, having spent the night dealing with spirits, had no reservations and accepted the offered drink. These seemingly timid officers were much easier to deal with than the people in the hospital. However, Chenhua was not one to take advantage of others for free. Without hesitation, he forcefully handed over one of his own paintings. This robe can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, ensuring the protection of your descendants for 3 generations. The female police officer looked skeptical, but her colleagues assured her that it was indeed true. Chenhua had his own way of dealing with them, even if he seemed like a mental patient. Soon, a queue formed outside Chief Zhou Aigua's office, all seeking Chenhua's attention. Passing by, Chief Zhou Aigua was perplexed about why so many people were looking for him. When he approached, he discovered that they were all there for Chinhwa. Chinhwa's desk was now filled with various snacks, and people kept coming in to deliver more. Those who missed the chance to grab Weepu snacks were complaining loudly. The bizarre behavior was all for one thing: obtaining a painting from Chinhwa. Chief Shoaigwa realized he couldn't let this chaos continue. Clearing his throat, he gathered everyone's attention and scolded them harshly, expelling them from his office. Disappointed by their behavior, Chief Shoaigwa then asked Chinhwa for a favor to draw a portrait of Zhang Fu. Chinhwa looked at Chief Shou's empty hands and didn't say a word. Seeing the snacks on the table, Chief Shoaigwa instantly understood the situation. He hadn't had time to buy Weepu snacks, but he had money. Chinhwa was not foolish. He knew that these could buy a lot of delicious food and little wheat fabric. Without delay, Chief Shoaigwa earnestly handed him a piece of paper, and Chinhwa began to draw. In no time, a painting of a turtle sliding on water emerged. The delicate strokes exuded a sense of wisdom. Satisfied, Chief Shoaigwa then discussed the main issue. There had been a series of murders near Dongda Bridge, and headquarters sent Chinhwa to accompany them. Dongda Bridge was still well lit in the late night, with only a police car visible. The officers, along with a psychiatric patient, arrived at the bridge. Another drunkard had been found dead the previous night, with his body mutilated. This marked the 36th injury incident this month. However, the department had no clue about the perpetrator, whether it was human or supernatural. After explaining the situation, Chief Shoaigwa once again placed his hopes on Chinhwa. Unexpectedly, as soon as Chinhwa stepped into the crime scene, he stumbled over something, causing the surrounding officers to become alert. Was there something dirty or supernatural at play? Certainly not. Only the chief, who was familiar with Chinhwa, knew that he had simply tripped and, it seemed, also injured his nose. Although Chinhwa was trying hard to control himself from crying, tears still flowed uncontrollably. Eventually, he sat on the ground and began to sob loudly. At this moment, another voice echoed in his mind, a strong warning from his spirit that he had never experienced before. Behind the group, not far from the bridge, a massive creature silently approached. Surprisingly, a casually drawn picture by Chinhwa was able to block the aura of a 1,000-year tiger spirit. While everyone's attention was drawn to Chinhwa's loud crying, danger attracted by the scent of blood also approached. In contrast to the oblivious humans, the previously subdued female ghost sensed the anomaly first. A wisp of black energy emerged from Chinhwa's body, gradually condensing into the form of the deadly little girl. However, this sight frightened the people behind her. The ghostly creature continued to approach, and its massive form gradually appeared in the onlooker's view. It was a tiger surrounded by ominous energy, comparable in size to an elephant. Its ferocious aura exuded a murderous intent, indicating it was at least a mid-level malevolent spirit. The conclusion was clear: the little girl was no match for it. However, bound by duty and loyalty, she had to confront the formidable foe for her master. The girl attacked first, encircling the neck of the 1,000-year tiger spirit with a tight grip of dark energy. However, the vast difference in power made it challenging for her to control the formidable adversary. Just as the tiger spirit violently swung its massive head, the little girl was thrown high into the sky, disappearing from sight. With this, everyone finally understood the situation. The tiger spirit's origin became apparent, and they speculated that it was the tiger mistreated 10 years ago, which had escaped from the zoo and was subsequently shot on this bridge. The recent string of mysterious homicides was undoubtedly its doing. Despite knowing all this, it seemed futile. The tiger spirit would still attack them. Just as thick smoke enveloped the area and vanished, strangely, they didn't appear to be harmed. When they looked up, they realized the gigantic tiger paw was hovering just outside a layer of golden light. This radiant barrier was composed of various images of gorillas and birds, as well as the crooked and tangled chaotic lines. Shoaigwa immediately recognized the source of these patterns. He urgently urged everyone to take out talismans. Surprisingly, a casually drawn picture by the eccentric turned out to contain a profound mystery. All present, feeling like they had grasped a lifeline, raised talismans with courage to confront the tiger spirit. The tiger spirit became somewhat flustered, facing a situation it had never encountered before. Although the golden light had no lethal effect on it, it prevented any forward movement. Emboldened by the increased morale, there were even signs of the tiger spirit moving backward. However, just when the two sides were in a stalemate, an arm reached out through the crowd and aimed at the tiger spirit. With a loud bang, a mind-blowing bomb hit the tiger spirit, stunning both those around it and yaoimanga. Even with the protection of the golden light, such reckless actions were not advisable. The tiger spirit, thoroughly angered, roared violently, shaking the entire bridge. This sudden outburst sent everyone scattering. Though the talismans were potent, they were still too weak. Even in terms of stamina alone, they couldn't hold on for much longer. To make matters worse, the golden light shield showed signs of breaking. In the panic, the overlooked Chinhwa fell out of the protective barrier. The 1,000-year tiger spirit immediately targeted him. Without the hindrance of the golden light, humans were like meat served on a platter. "Not allowed to eat my master!" The proud little girl shouted defiantly and exerted all her strength to pull and tug at the tiger spirit. This time, she successfully flipped it over, but awkwardly, she threw it in the direction everyone was running. "Don't eat me, go eat them, okay?" It turned out that the protective little girl was deliberately creating a diversion to protect her master. This situation left the defenseless police officers watching helplessly as the enormous malevolent spirit descended upon them. The impact was not light, and the tiger spirit also suffered. Dazed and confused, it took a moment for it to regain its senses. However, this provided an opportunity for the audacious Chinhwa. Intrigued by the sight of such a large cat, he even plucked a good tuft of fur. Remarkably, the tiger spirit, which had a leg thicker than Chinhwa's waist, was infuriated. This time, it didn't notice the humans standing beneath it. And sensing the danger, Chinhwa instinctively jumped aside. However, this triggered her fighting spirit, and she unleashed a powerful meteor fang fist with the strength of 1,000 kilograms. The 1,000-year tiger spirit was sent flying like a cannonball. Dazed and unable to stand up for a short period, Chinhwa's assault wasn't over. His hands took turns delivering powerful blows with a fist. The howls of the tiger spirit on the East Grand Bridge were mournful and pitiful. Everyone watched in astonishment. It wasn't that the tiger spirit refused to fight back. It was that Chinhwa didn't give him a chance to resist. In no time, the 1,000-year tiger spirit was lying on the ground like a defeated beast. Its claws, capable of penetrating 10-centimeter steel plates, were now used to shield its head. The other claw held a white flag, indicating surrender. Chinhwa excitedly jumped onto the tiger's head, celebrating his victory in taming a pet. He even wanted to take the girl for a stroll. The tiger spirit reluctantly accepted its fate. The formidable 1,000-year tiger spirit, as if bereaved, meekly bore Chinhwa on its back. Eventually, Chinhwa's excitement subsided, and the tiger spirit, still carrying him, flew towards the distance. The onlookers on the bridge, still shivering in the cold wind, witnessed them disappear from their view. It wasn't until the chief's scolding woke them up that they realized they had missed the chance to chase after them. However, now he was riding a white tiger, and nobody knew where they had gone. The chief's frustration was evident, as he had lost this valuable asset, and explaining this to the hospital director wouldn't be easy. The police officers on the ground were left with burned heads, while Chinhwa and the tiger spirit were having a great time in the sky. He gave random commands, and the obedient tiger spirit followed. After a while, a blue light beam shot towards Qingshan Hospital. It turned out that Chinhwa, exhausted from playing, returned to his home. Unconsciously, he still regarded the hospital as his home. Thinking his mission was complete, the tiger spirit was about to sneak away. However, Chinhwa, who looked into the future, caught him in the act. After all, even a mount should be parked properly. It needed to be tied up with a rope. So, calmly and convincingly, Chinhwa went through a series of motions, pretending to use an imaginary rope to lead the white tiger down the stairs. The tiger spirit, bewildered but cautious, dared not defy and reluctantly played along with the act. Chenhua, emphasizing the details, executed the performance with precision, but the intended outcome didn't materialize. Nonetheless, he earnestly admonished the tiger spirit, declaring that this place was now its home, and as long as the star warrior was around, nobody would dare to bully it. Satisfied with the successful act, Chenhua prepared to return to his ward for sleep, a smug smile involuntarily climbing onto his lips. Finally, the tiger spirit could breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that as long as this troublemaker was absent, it could do as it pleased. However, an unknown force forcefully pulled him back, as if he were tethered by an invisible rope. The lying tiger spirit watched in shock, unable to comprehend. Little did it know that Chenhua's body harbored a strand of a soul, orchestrating everything. According to the host's intentions, the tiger spirit was firmly bound with a soul-locking rope, rendering it immobile. The next morning, Chenhua woke up to a scream, and the sudden appearance startled a nurse, who questioned why he had silently returned. Noticing the injuries on his hand, the compassionate nurse couldn't help but feel heartbroken. Chenhua, touched by her unexpected concern, seemed on the verge of tears and wanted to hug the nurse. Meanwhile, the hospital director, informed of the situation, was infuriated. He scolded the police for their absurdity, allowing a mentally ill patient to disappear from under their noses. Back in the comfortable zone, Chenhua, despite another unsuccessful attempt at treatment, was ecstatic. Little Shui sang and drank her beverage, while Chenhua ignored the voices in his head. The soul within him was eager to cure this troublemaker's mental illness, but with Chenhua's current state, cooperation for a successful treatment seemed impossible. At the same time, a black private car arrived at the hospital, carrying Officer Zhang Yuyu, who had come to apologize to Chenhua. The woman, removing her sunglasses, was recognized by Chenhua as the one who left the police station abruptly. Their reunion was interrupted by a shocking revelation: Zhang Yuyu had late-stage breast cancer. Chenhua, still absorbed in his own success, failed to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Suddenly standing up, Chenhua tried to comfort Zhang Yuyu. He extended his hand with a warm smile, suggesting that they could be friends. Zhang Yuyu, overwhelmed with emotions, couldn't hold back her tears. She revealed that the doctor had already informed her of her limited time left. Chenhua, however, remained oblivious to Zhang Yuyu's plight and continued to shake her bottle of water, chanting words nonsensically. Chenhua assured Zhang Yuyu that there was nothing to worry about and even offered her a bottle of water. Chenhua claimed that drinking the water would guarantee a healthy life. Although skeptical, Zhang Yuyu drank the water, considering it a part of playing along with Chenhua's eccentric behavior. Zhang Yuyu was choked and burst into tears. She was speechless to find out. There is sand in this water. And she didn't feel any special effects. Although Chenhua firmly said that the disease must be cured. But where would Zhang Yuyu believe that there is such a magical thing? She just blamed herself for being a bit sick and confused. Even if she had heard of Chenhua's various deeds of subduing ghosts. But saving lives is still a matter for doctors. Chenhua, who didn't know why, thought she was moved to tears. A sense of pride in benefiting mankind arose. Sure enough, I moved my waist and I was the hero who illuminated others. On the way back, Zhang Yuyu ran into the director who came to see Chenhua. Zhou Aigua had heard about Zhang Yuyu's situation a long time ago. So he didn't wait for her to speak and took the initiative to say that he would not agree. It turned out that Zhang Yuyu considered her condition. She submitted her resignation report as soon as possible. But Zhou Aigua knew how much this girl loved this job. He also understood that dealing with ghosts is inevitable in this line of work. Zhang Yuyu's performance on weekdays is outstanding. But she is definitely the most enthusiastic one. Everyone has seen everything she has done for the police station. So at this time, the police station will not abandon you casually. Zhou Aigua's eyes were firm as if he wanted to join the party. He once again clearly stated that he would not approve Zhang Yuyu's resignation report, and promised that this period of time will be regarded as a long vacation for her. All expenses will be reimbursed by the police station during this period. He also acted as a gentleman and made a solemn statement. All this is the police station's commitment and recognition to Comrade Zhang Yu. Inside the mental hospital, Chinhua was still immersed in the self-movement of the hero. Zhou Aigua came over with a small box. This is Chinhua's mobile phone. But he had to tell her that it was a star signal receiver. If it weren't for accidentally losing Chinhua last time, Li Qinshan would not refuse to let Chinhua go back to the police station. So in order to keep in touch with Chinhua at all times, he had to teach him how to use his mobile phone. On the way back, Zhou Aigua was exhausted, because there are too many cases caused by ghosts. The ordinary population disappearance case has never been experienced, so that the police station teacher came to bother them. Although the situation of that case is a bit special. But he really didn't want to take it. Just then the phone suddenly rang. I thought there was something urgent. But it turned out that Chinhua, who had just learned to use his mobile phone, was making trouble again. A bunch of messy questions and photos were thrown over. It really made people feel sad. Zhou Aigua began to regret giving this kid a mobile phone. At night, Chinhua was energetic and couldn't sleep on the bed. He decided to go out and find some fun. Now with the help of the little girl who kills, he will no longer be bound by the hospital. He slid down along the little ghost's hair very easily. And there is a big white cat underneath. As soon as he landed, he rode on him and left. I don't know how convenient it is. Chinhua just wanted to wander aimlessly. But I didn't expect the little ghost to find something wrong first. In order to avoid being discovered, Chinhua immediately ordered Baihu to find a place to hide. Then I saw a thin and sloppy man carrying a girl came face to face. The reason why I can see it so clearly, it's because half of Chinhua's body is exposed. The man naturally found them. But strangely, he didn't react at all. He just left quietly by himself. While Chinhua was teaching this stupid big cat, the little ghost also said his opinion. He said that the strangeness was not because the man was carrying a woman, but his 3 sunfires are so weak. Even the dying person will not be so weak. The so-called sunfire is the flame on the shoulders and forehead of a living person. It represents the strength of a person's vitality. The little ghost doesn't have it because he is a ghost. Chinhua doesn't have it because he can't see it. But the soul quickly solved this problem. Sure enough, Chinhua was immediately attracted by the new things. In the end, it was the little ghost who reminded him in time. If you don't chase that guy, he will go far. He reacted and grabbed the 2 and ran away. After Chinhua followed the man into an alley, the man finally stopped in front of a small courtyard. Soon the gate opened slowly with a creak. Chinhua anxiously called Baihu to hurry up. But in the end he was still a step late and was slammed outside the gate by the door. And the man in the yard walked quietly towards the main house. As soon as he stepped into it, 3 different green lights lit up in front of him. One of them also asked in his hoarse voice, "What do you want to bet this time?" Obviously this is not the first time the man came here. This can be seen from the messy mahjong on the table. Of course it's the old rule. Bet on my life. The man looked solemn. He answered with restraint, "But your life is almost gone." Then add his life. Is that enough? Looking at the girl who fell to the ground, she was really stylish. The 3 green shadows seemed to agree and didn't say anything. It was only when the girl came back to her senses that she found out their existence. She was scared and panicked. But her bound hands and feet made her know where to escape. At the same time, the candles on the altar were lit slowly. The whole room was a bit more light and shadow, and the 3 figures gradually condensed into human shapes. The woman in the lead seemed to blame the man for his ruthlessness. But in fact she was very happy in her heart. After all, who would dislike young Shou? Listening to their unscrupulous transactions. The girl on the ground was afraid and desperate. And Chinhua outside the courtyard was still immersed in the sourness of being hit by the door. The soul in his head just took the opportunity to warn him. After all, the 3 inside are not good stubble. But if Chinhua could listen obediently, he wouldn't sneak out in the middle of the night. Since the door can't get in, just step on Baihu and climb over the wall. Anyway, so I saw 3 big heads sticking to the window crack, peeking at the mystery inside the house. But their actions were all seen by the female ghost. After all, as a ghost, how can they not know if someone enters their territory? The game was very close. The 3 ghosts have been back and forth. Only that man has been losing. The game soon came to the last hand. The man in the hand was reluctant to let go, because he knew it in his heart. At this point, the situation is basically set. The man lost again as expected. He was so weak that he couldn't even walk. The 3 sun fires on his body were so weak that they were about to go out. At the same time, a voice rang behind him. "Brother, since you are here, why don't you go in and take a look?" The female ghost didn't know when she appeared behind Chinhua. If it were an ordinary person, he would have been scared to pee. But Chinhua was not afraid. But he felt embarrassed to sneak into someone's house and be discovered. Facing the female ghost's invitation, even the little ghost couldn't help but get nervous. But where would Chinhua care so much? But as soon as he entered the door, he was cut by something at his feet. He looked down and found out. It turned out to be an old grandmother who was over 50 years old. When did she come here? Chinhua looked fierce. But this did not prevent him from joining the game of the 3 ghosts. According to the 7-gun woman, the bet can be life or something else. If you win, you can fulfill your wish, such as being rich or rising step by step. But if you lose, then you and the life on the ground will belong to us. At this time, the soul tried hard to dissuade. But this kid couldn't listen to a word. "No. But you have to play the King 8. The 3 ghosts looked fierce. They don't understand how to connect the King 8 with gambling. The so-called King 8 is to remove the small king and 3 8s from a deck of cards. Then draw the cards of the previous player in order. Pairing can be eliminated. The last person left with the King 8 is the loser. The rules are simple and easy to understand. But this is a bit of a joke. And Chinhua is even more disadvantageous. The King 8 is in his hand. But compared with these malicious eyes, it is more worth guarding." Sure enough, the male ghost who took the lead used his perspective eye without morals. But soon he found something wrong. Why can't I see through the ordinary poker? That's because the soul had seen through everything. He had prepared a preventive needle for Chinhua in advance. As the man's pale hand passed over Chinhua's card face, the red star that was originally drawn up instantly turned into a big king. The man looked incredulously at what had happened. He had reason to believe that this kid was definitely weird. So he passed the information to his companion as soon as possible. The dwarf ghost who received the signal did not act rashly. Instead, he signaled the other ghosts to watch the changes. Chinhua knew nothing about the communication of the 3 ghosts. But there is no doubt that they all ate cakes in Chinhua's hands. The game soon came to the last round. Everyone had few cards left in their hands. When it was Chinhua's turn to draw, he stretched his hand directly to the rightmost side of the Cheongsam female ghost. And behind that card was the big king, looking at their victory coming. The female ghost's face couldn't help but show a smug smile. "Yes, that's it, draw it quickly." Chinhua was not surprised. He really drew that card. But the soul can create accidents. He used the old trick again and changed the 3 to Chinhua's hand, with a pair of 3 times the pride thrown on the table. Chinhua became the biggest winner of the night without suspense. The Cheongsam female ghost couldn't believe her eyes. She obviously drew the king. In an instant, her body burst out with a strong yin qi. Obviously, that was their life passing away. The 3 ghosts sat at the table and looked at each other's appearance after death. Even the original gorgeous Cheongsam became dilapidated. Then a gust of wind extinguished the candle. Along with the door, it closed. Looking at the 3 ghosts who approached with bad intentions, the parasitic soul was alert. But Chinhua, who followed up, never caught the point. He thought it was the wind that blew the door. So he tried to push it open with his hand. But I never thought that I would overturn the 2 doors directly. Chenhua was embarrassed and at a loss. People kindly invited him to play cards, but he demolished their door. It's really embarrassing. But the three ghosts won't buy his account. This kid is obviously mocking them. He must teach him a good lesson. Seeing the situation becoming critical, the soul immediately began to give orders. The little ghost and the white tiger soul who felt the call rushed in the first time. The domineering momentum scared the three ghosts to pee. Because they knew the tiger soul of Dongda Bridge. It was because they accidentally passed by there before. Almost eaten as food. But Chenhua didn't care and taught Baihu a lesson. Rushing in recklessly. It's already embarrassing to break someone's door. Now he can only sacrifice some snacks to apologize. The helpless little ghost could only follow Chenhua's instructions. Search for the snacks in the pocket. Of course Chenhua is not stupid. He specially explained to pick out those that are not very delicious. Facing Chenhua's apology, the three ghosts were also hard to refuse. After all, their strength is there. But Chenhua thought they were magnanimous and didn't care about him. So he was in a good mood and took out his mobile phone to take a photo with them. Seeing this kid come prepared, the three ghosts didn't dare to make trouble again. Even if there are any complaints, they can only break the mirror in their stomachs. At the same time, on the other side, Director Yaoi was overwhelmed by a bunch of messy cases. After all, he is also old. Yaoi, who has limited energy, was about to transfer his work to his colleague, and he happened to see Chenhua's circle of friends. Although Chenhua occupied most of the photos. But the three people in the corner still caught Yaoi's attention. He was shocked and almost dropped his phone. To verify his thoughts, he immediately searched for the wanted list of ghosts. Sure enough, they are the three ghosts of rank 3rd on the wanted list. How did this kid get together with them? But now is not the time to think about these. The ghost catching operation is imminent. Yaoi immediately thought of an alarm and mobilized all staff. And Chenhua was still immersed in the joy of the game. After all, they are all unhappy with him. This can be seen from the increasingly dilapidated bodies of the three ghosts. That is the price of their cultivation. And this also means that they really can't hold on. So they have to stop the situation from continuing to develop. A strange look appeared on their faces. The soul had already noticed something wrong at the first time. But I didn't expect it to be too late. At the moment when Chenhua's hand touched the other's card, the original hut suddenly disappeared, replaced by a new place. Even the time changed from night to day. This is the ghost realm that the three ghosts burst out together, in order to trap people in their memories before they die. Just then a noise broke into Chenhua's ears. Curious Chenhua immediately ran over to join in the fun, regardless of the soul's advice, only to see the alley full of people. It seems that someone stole something, or they are mocking someone. He walked closer and found out that it was a short bald head, and his face was exactly like one of the three ghosts. Chenhua was like a god descending. He directly jumped into the crowd. The people didn't react to what was going on. They saw Chenhua dancing like a witch. During this time, he was also muttering something in his mouth. Then he immediately pulled up the bald head's hand. Let's go. Go back and play cards with me. He only has cards in his head. But no matter what the reason, the bald head was completely moved. Because no one has ever cared about him like this. He was bullied before he died, so he hated humans so much. So if Chenhua had joined the bullying just now, I'm afraid he would have been backfired by resentment. The unprecedented warmth made the him crawl guilty, so he threw Chenhua's hand away, and then opened the dimensional channel to the next level for him. Go over there. They're waiting for you there. The scene changed. A delicate manner came into view. The seat in the garden was Zhao Xiaozui before her death, and Zhang Changshan was also dancing on the stage. But before they could enjoy this moment between them, the general came in with his men. He gave Ant a slap in the face for loving him. As for the lover, he was beaten by his men and couldn't say a word. Zhao Xiaozui still looked innocent, said she didn't understand what the general was saying. The general kicked a stomach in a rage, and said to her, "Do you have to catch the rape in bed before you admit it? How can a weak woman bear the beating of a martial artist?" Zhao Xiaozui was kicked several meters away. Zhang Changshan, who witnessed everything, was going crazy. He quickly broke free and blocked Zhao Xiaozui. because the fact is that the general robbed Zhao Xiaocui in love, and was beating her every day. You don't deserve to wear hat. Zhang Changshan was completely out of it. Anyway, as long as he was with Zhao Xiaocui, everything was fine. The general, who was publicly humiliated, was so angry that he bit his teeth. He immediately took out his gun and aimed at Zhang Changshuan's forehead. Want to die? I'll fulfill you. You like to be together so much? Go to the underworld and be ducks. The muzzle further pressed against Zhang Changshuan's forehead. It's impossible not to be afraid. But what can he do? At the last moment, a voice was heard. Shaolin Iron Head Tackle. Directly topped the general's waist and flew out. The sound of breaking seemed to be faintly heard. That was the only few good bones general had. The unexpected scene was something no one expected. So the soldiers were half a beat slow and didn't have time to hold Chinhua. He also pointed at his general and cursed, "Son of a bitch, I'll count to 3. Put my cards back." The general was stunned. Which team from is this second fool? Don't want to live. But Chinhua turned a deaf ear. He started his own countdown. Then the soldiers rushed up under the general's order. This lunatic was controlled by everyone. The two behind him also looked fierce. I thought it was a savior, but now it seems that everything is not good. But Chinhua's courage inspired Zhao Xiaocui. Even an outsider dares to stand up for herself. What reason do I have not to be brave? Zhao Xiaocui completely opened up. Isn't it just defying the general? It's just a death. But before I die, I have to be with Chanshan openly and uprightly. Seeing Zhao Xiaocui's intention, Zhang Chanshan no longer scrupled. He can give everything for his lover. So he picked up the long spear again. He wanted to kill the general and make Zhao Xiaocui his wife in a proper way. The theater was Zhang Changshuan's battlefield. The opera became Zhao's formula. Originally belonged to the stage of a lifetime. Now they have become his weapon to defeat the enemy. Chinhua was full of admiration. I didn't expect his card friend to have such a handsome side, but only the soul knows. Although the situation of the ghost realm changed because of Chinhua's appearance, but the final outcome is always impossible to change. Facing Zhang Changshuan's strong attack, the general's little soldiers soon fell behind. Now no one is blocking Zhang Changshan, and spear-like dragon is directly pointing at the general's head. But at the last moment, a soldier didn't know when he had touched Zhang Changshan. Before he killed the general, his neck was cut off by a sharp blade. The blood of the flying sword pushed his head straight to Chinhua's feet. A heart-wrenching roar erupted from Zhao Xiaocui's mouth. But the established fact is that no one can change. That night, they were tied up as expected, and obviously their death was not far away. Zhao Xiaocui looked sorry. Because Zhang Changshan died, she didn't plan to live either. But she didn't mean to hurt this young man. After all, she couldn't fight fate. A sigh of sorrow for the injustice of the world. Obviously she was wrong, but still have to be the target of the bad guys. The masses who don't know the truth curse and do more absolutely. Because the last fire was set by them. The fire spread quickly. Obviously the two have no chance to live. But Chinhua's face suddenly cooled down. The constant accusations and curses continued to stimulate his nerves. Finally, he couldn't bear it, and broke free of the rope. Zhao Xiaocui was right and Zhang Changshan was right. Wrong is you these ignorant fools. The soul has a good eye and gradually strengthens Chinhua's strength. At that moment, Chinhua was like a captive body. A hammer to pull up the willow and pull up the stake. Then he vented the wood fire on these ignorant masses without mercy. Everything nearby became his target of attack. In a while, the whole street was almost burned. Zhao Xiaocui, who saw it in his eyes, was really crying. She thanked Chinhua for his help, and thanked Chinhua for standing on their side. Only then did the ghost realm disappear completely. 3 souls floated into the sky. They all thanked Chinhua for his redemption. If someone could have been like you at the beginning, maybe we wouldn't have died with resentment. But Chinhua didn't understand these truths. He only knows to curse back when he is scolded, hit back when he is hit. Anyway, he thinks the world is always crazy. Indeed, sometimes the answer you struggle with is that simple. But Chinhua should not be so stubborn on the table, watching people lose their cultivation. He still had to drag the 3 ghosts to play cards. You have the soul to help when you hang up, but the 3 ghosts have to live.